All right, collective. So I'm on my way home after an interesting day. Yo, so I did a tarot reading earlier today talking about how kings were made. Well, it wasn't about how kings were made. It was just basically an energy update. Checking up on the love energies, all that type of stuff. Look, we got a black and white cat. Isn't that interesting? Okay, my guy. So, and then I'm walking through a Spanish neighborhood. And this is what's going to lead into the conversation. Like, it feels so good as a black man being able to walk through the Spanish neighborhood and communicate with Spanish folk. Not that I speak 100% Española, but like, it's afternoon time, it's the evening time, it's about 6 o'clock. So as I see them, I just saw a guy bringing trash out of his house. That's funny because I saw a woman bringing trash out of her house first, and I wanted to say she has nice legs. She probably had to be in like her late 30s or early 40s, a Latina, right? And I think that's gonna be my new pickup line. Nice legs, can I have a hug? And it's cool being able to walk through the neighborhood. And my name is Antonio. Being able to greet them in their native tongue, right? Being able to say buenos dias, good morning, or buenos tardes, good afternoon, buenos noches, good evening, right? Just stuff like that. Hola, hi, just simple things, right? If anybody knows anything about traveling, right, which black people have been doing since the beginning of time, which is why black people are usually bigger, sometimes fatter, because our body holds more body weight and body fat, right? Your brain's favorite food is fat. Regardless of what the government tries to teach you, bad fat is bad for you. There's good fat and there's bad fat, right? You just gotta know how to be accountable. That's just like with anything, right? If you drink too much, you're gonna become a toxic drunk. So, yeah, just being able to walk through the neighborhood, and speak to them, communicate with them. Like, I shop predominantly and mostly, if it's not Walmart, and Spanish stores, because in their neighborhoods the meat is cheaper, right? So anyways, I was on a tarot reading today and I couldn't even get through it, man. My phone overheated. That's how hot it's been, and it ain't even the end of August yet, right? I think we even got some hurricanes coming up, Spanish name hurricanes, right? The energy just flows, I swear. So yeah, I couldn't get through the reading. My phone shut off. The reading was pushing like 30 minutes, and I just started. It was interesting because I went into like a visionary stream of consciousness when I just started talking about like a bunch of, it wasn't really random, just talking about a lot of stuff, like the upcoming love energies, and then I started talking about past life type of stuff, right? And then in the middle of the reading, right, this is probably like 10 minutes of the reading, I went into some rant in regards to my past lives. Not that I'm gonna sit around for 2 hours on any recording and tell you guys about my past life. But and you're probably like, what are you talking about? How do you even know reincarnation is real? Like, okay, go fight with the flat earth and the round earthers, please. I don't, if you don't believe in reincarnation, or have you been following me, why are you listening to this video in the first place? So and it's kind of known that I'm like very well anointed. I mean, just look through my social medias. You see synchronicities all day. I've been through life and death situations that should have took anyone else out, right? Again, my liver transplant alone 18 years ago, which is half my life because I'm 36 now. Yeah, you can't, first of all, if you get an organ donated to you, you might not even survive the procedure, right? It's pretty much, it's a high percentage that you'll probably die within the first few hours, days, or weeks, let alone years of having your surgery. And it's been like 18 years, right? So at this point, I might as well just go with it. I'll be alive for another 36 years, and I'll be 72, right? Which I started talking about this stuff, right? And this is how far it went. Like, I started talking about, the new King of England. The Queen of England died last year, or was it early this year? Yeah, it was last year, because that's when before I went on my hiatus, right after I came back from Vegas. So yeah, and look how long it took him to become king. And this is my whole point of shooting this video here. Look how long it took that man to become king. He's like damn near 80 years old. He just got, look at all those chickens. Okay. And he just became king. So during this whole rant about past lives and opportunities coming up for people and new love, and even, you know, the whole dance of twin flames, two souls becoming one, being highly anointed and all that type of stuff. Kings are not born. Kings are made, right? And yeah, I can fight on either side of that debate and be like, yeah, kings are born, right? Because you have a legacy, you have a lineage, you have heirlooms, right? People are born into rich families and things like that, right? You have Trump's son, Barron, whose father owns Trump Towers all around the world, right? So of course he's gonna come. People are gonna just know him, right? His name alone has a presence. Barron. Barron is another form of a name like mine, kingly, godly. Well, Barron is more like kingly, right? So, but then look at Bush's, is it Bush or whichever one it is, the old guy that we have as a President Biden. Look at his son. Like, yeah, we know who he is, but his son is a fucking reckless drug addict that's a fucking sexual deviant, right? And I was cursing and the terror reading and all, like, spirit just took over me. Like, my ancestors took over me. Like, I don't just speak for myself sometimes. I get all this shit that I don't know. It comes from the people that I came from. It's coded in my DNA, ancestral memory. So, yeah, and I was talking about how kings are made, right? Like, they came out of there, and they're just like everybody else. They just may have like royal blood or something like that, but it's something more than that. It goes deeper than that. Like, you have to like learn to crawl before you can fly. So they come out of their mother's wombs, right? They don't know shit. They just know that they're being spoiled rotten, right? If they're not nurtured properly, who knows? You may end up with a Napoleon or what's the other guy that slaughtered all the little hat people? Yeah, one of those types of cats. But yeah, you have to teach kings. Kings aren't stupid. I'm not stupid. And that's another thing. I come from the original, like, not just the original man, Adam and Eve. I come from the original gods and deities before Earth was even made. Like, my bloodline, if I could talk about it in mundane terms, I come from people that traverse the universe. Look at that. The Passion of the Christ. First thing you see when you come to their house, boy, you know they Christians or Catholics. But yeah, so, and that was another thing I was explaining as well. Like, I come from some shit that most people don't even know. Like, you don't even know yourself because you're so focused on a love relationship or what the government told you about money. Even these fake woke folks, you know, I hate to call out their names, both men and women, that turn around and molest children, or they just try to siphon money off from people off of some bullshit product, right? Aside from those types of characters, yeah, another black cat. Look at this. This is a very interesting moment. He's hiding too. I see you, bro. I see you. Look like you've been chiefing on some catnip over there. So, yeah, you have to teach people. Like, these kings aren't stupid. Like, you go against any king in checkers or chess, because they probably don't play checkers. They beat the shit out of you, right? Like, it wasn't fun and games when these kings and these emperors were sending their armies across the nation to conquer other lands, right? You had to be a strategic genius. Like, their parents, the kings and queens, right? They hired or they paid astrologers of the time, philosophers of the time, naturalists of the time, teachers of the time, great poets and actors and storytellers of the time, right, to come and teach their children mathematics, right, spelling, teach them astrology. So a king is well versed. You can't just sit in front of a king and think you're gonna outthink a king. It doesn't work like that, right? So these are why these people become powerful rulers of their kingdom, right? And which is usually why it takes a whole bunch of people or a group of people to try to coup them or assassinate them, right? There's never just one person that tries to come against the king, right? You got to recruit a bunch of people that you think that don't like the king for whatever reason, or that could try to sneak attack the king. Right? It don't work like that. These are very brilliant, genius people, right? Like all the kings in the tarot deck. And all the kings in the tarot deck are what? The emperor, right? Yeah, the kings have their subjects, but guess who's the kings are subject to? They're subject to the emperor, right? So what else did I want to talk about? I think I spoke about, this movie that came out a couple years ago, maybe about 2 years ago, with Idris Elba, and I forgot the one called Cajun Chick. She's a pretty good actor as well. It was called 1,000 Years of Longing. She found the genie's lamp, and then the genie came alive and told her, his whole life story, and how he wanted freedom and all this type of stuff. And I was talking about how, and this is another example of a king, right? I talked about the Napoleon syndrome, and I keep forgetting. See, that's how irrelevant that guy is that tried to kill off all the Jews to me is. Yeah, but like you have someone that becomes king and they go on this bloodthirsty zest for revenge, or not even revenge. They just might be bloodthirsty, or they just have some crazy ass personality where they just sweeping through the land and they killing and they conquering and they taking over everything. Now his mom was like, wow, like my son is an awful king. So what she would try to do is like hire like court jesters, like entertainers to like calm his his fiery spirit. Like I wouldn't necessarily say evil, but he was just stuck in like a frenzy or like a rage. This is like working for a supervisor that gives no breaks, right? Doesn't give any chances. If you late, he don't even give you a warning. You just fired, right? like all these women thinking that they can get around with talking to men crazy, or people that think they can steal. Like realize that there's other shit that still goes on in 2023. You can get your tongue cut off. You get your arm. They cut. That's what they do. You act like you don't respect people, they gonna cut something off, right? But yeah, so his mother, she hired a storyteller, right? Some old man that was living out his dying years or whatever the case may be. Like he's very experienced, so he probably went through a lot of things, and he's probably witnessed a lot of kings throughout his life, right? So he started to talk to the king, right? Because the king was literally like my age, maybe a little bit, maybe a few years younger, right? I think he might have been the son of Solomon, now that I think about it, or Paul in the Bible. But so she hired this one storyteller to constantly tell her son stories, right? So this king, this bloodthirsty ruler that no one could defeat, no one could talk sense into, this old man would literally like make him laugh, tell him stories, actually nurture him like a father would, to the point to where the king actually, he started laughing. Like he started to actually, he would sit in front of him like Indian style as a child and just listen to this old man tell stories. And throughout that whole relationship, right? There was kind of sort of like peace, right? Like people didn't have to walk around eggshells throughout the castle or throughout the kingdom anytime they hear his name. But when that old dude died, like he went crazy again. Like, so that's the thing. Like, people aren't just born kings. They have to be taught to be a righteous person, a good person, an honest person, a hard-working person, a self-sacrificing person. Because contrary to popular belief, kings don't just send people away and tell them to do stuff, right? Remember that there are cultures that practice a thing called rites of passage. Like you have to leave this city, this country, this town, this community, and go out and get your first kill in order to come back. That's kind of like men today, like the legacy, creating children and that sort of thing, being able to pass down the things that you learn, right? A king, after all is said and done, he passes down the things that he's learned, right? You remember that if you watched not Game of Thrones, but House of Dragon, right? The king himself. But yeah, it all depends what you teach a person, right? And that's going back to how kings are made, right? They're not just, and you never know, you can't judge a book by its cover at the end of the day, man. A king knows things, right? The higher you go up in society, and we would think that a king would be like one of the highest levels, right? These people are fucking geniuses, right? That's why they're revered by people. That's why people celebrate them. That's why they just thebomb.com like that, right? And it's not always about power. People respect them. There's no fear there. You respect the king because if you say if you had a problem to solve, like this happened to Saul or Solomon or Paul, right? Two women came to him and they was fighting over a baby, and he had a genius idea where he took the baby in front of these two women and told them that he was going to cut the baby in half, right? Now only one was the real mother and one was the liar. The real mother, and this is how you could this is how shit goes sometimes. Like the real mother loved the child so much, she didn't want to see the fucking child get cut in half, that she just said that she just gave the child over to the other woman that was probably a liar, probably a kid trafficker, right? She just gave her kid over to her, right? And Solomon was like, oh, that's how we solved that, right? We could tell that this is the real mother because of the love, the empathy, and the sympathy she showed in the situation, instead of trying to be the fighter, the, you know, women running their mouth all the time. Instead of fighting, like, use your discernment, right? So he actually gave the child back to the real mother, right? Because of that display of affection. So, yeah, man, and that's how a king does things. Like any other king that wasn't taught right, or I don't even know if he would have became king at some point. I mean, some people think that they're a king or a queen, and they're not. You're not a king or a queen. What even have you done that you could prove to people to show that you have put any effort towards being a king or a queen, or someone that we should even listen to, someone that's noteworthy, right? A lot of tarot readers want to label themselves emperor or empress or the king of this and the king of that, right? It's all the same shit over and over and over. No one can actually even come up with anything as genuine as a name for their social media platforms, right? I can go on Facebook right now and all down my timeline and all down my news feed, right? Women are going to be twerking, and actually the men are becoming smarter. What men actually used to do 10, 15 years ago was flash all their money online, and then women, right? This is the hypocrisy of it. Women will be like, why you always flashing your money online? You must ain't really got no real money, or whatever the case may be. I'll rob your ass, or whatever the case may be. Like, why are you showing your money online? Because I got it, bitch. But then they would turn around and show their ass crack online, right? Because again, men get more confidence when they have money, right? That's men's value, a men's trophy, right? Or that's how the world perceives men, by how financially stable and abundant he is, right? But then women who value looks, right? Who value their beauty, they would do the same thing that man does with his money, and they would get online and flash their bodies, not even half naked. Naked! You're not acting like a king and you're not acting like a queen, right? All of us used to do dumb shit in our young age, and we had to either be taught, or we had to teach ourselves, or we had to find out somehow. Hence, we made ourselves into the person that we were made today, right? You could seek out a mentor or a teacher, hell, even a pastor or a guru to become a better version of yourself, right? It takes a village, right, to anoint somebody that's actually noteworthy, right? What do people say about you? What's your reputation? 1818. Why am I calling synchronicities out on just a random reading? And I've been ranting because it's almost 20 minutes long. But yeah, I was so mad. That's the second time that happened. I've had two very crazy ass divine channelings over the past 30 days that I wish I could record, and I knew that shit would have had like gems on gems on gems. And I can't even go back and read it or watch it because it was deleted on my phone. Like the same time on both the readings, like the phone was overheating and it just shut the recording off. And I've never had a phone that does that. I've always had a phone that if the phone shuts off or it overheats, right, the phone overheats, it would at least save the cutoff part, right? Nope, that phone's like, this shit's gone forever. You'll never be able to get these gems back. You'll never be able to tell these people this magical story that you was about to get ready to upload on YouTube that probably could have changed someone's life, right? And I was like, oh my God. Who knows, right? So, yeah, I just wanted to at least upload something today. I may upload this onto my YouTube channel. But it'll definitely go up on my social media page at some point if I don't upload it onto my YouTube channel. But yeah, it was a very interesting reading, man. I would try to jog my memory and remember the messages themselves, but it's like, why do that? That's too much work, right? I should have had a recording today to upload onto YouTube for you guys. So I guess either this evening or tomorrow, I'll probably do some messages. I think I want to do the Zodiac, like really short messages, like 5 minutes a piece. I don't want to spend too much time on it. What, 5 times 12 is 60. 60 minutes is an hour, so I'll probably just do something like that. You see how kings think. So, yeah, man. It's like a bully, right? You think a bully is the most powerful, biggest person in the school, and nobody can take them down. Well, what do you think David did to Goliath? He knocked his ass out with a rock and a slingshot. Bro. And that's intelligence, right? That's knowledge, right? It all comes from how you were taught, what you think, how you could think your way in and out of a situation, or sometimes through a situation. But yeah, man, that's king talk, man. We are created. Alright? So hopefully you guys got some gems from that one, both the queens and the kings. I don't know how I feel about that, right? Some women, you know, they're so feminist, they'll say things like, a king can't, something about how, you know, they'll claim their queendom, but they have no king. And I thought like kings, I mean, we could debate it. I thought only kings made queens, right? Because even in that story that I was telling you about the king, they didn't consider his mother the queen. She was the mother of the king. Like, let's get real. Like, unless you were somebody that was married, like a widowed queen, right? Like, they considered Cleopatra and Helen of Troy. I don't even think, yeah, Helen of Troy was not considered a queen. Joan of Arc was not considered a queen, right? So, yeah, man, I'm ready to get home, take me a nice shower, and I'll talk to y'all on the next one, man. Peace.